Hey everybody, I've got such a cool video for you today because today we are talking about EV charging, but we're going to break it down and make it super simple because it's kind of a scary world if you've never done it before, and it can be really overwhelming. So you just bought your first EV, you hop online, you search EV charger, and like 1,000 options pop up. And there's all different price points, all different speeds. You see words like amps and voltage and kilowatts, and you don't know what they mean. Well, in this video, we're going to take a chill pill. We're going to make it super easy to understand and help you get on your way. Now, this is a new Hyundai Ioniq 5, but this video applies to just about every EV on the market, and we're going to make this really fun. I think it's going to be really cool. So let's talk about the slowest and arguably the easiest way to keep your electric car charged. Now, a lot of new EVs will come equipped with a standard charger that just plugs into a standard wall outlet like we have here in the US. Now, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Check this out. You got your standard 3-prong outlet. This is very familiar. Your vacuum uses this, your TV uses this, your Xbox uses this. It's a very simple and easy way to put electricity in your car, but it's also very slow. Now, in the world of electric vehicles, we can rank charging based on speed on 3 levels. Level 1 is going to be your slowest, level 3 is going to be your fastest, and level 2 is right there in between. Now, using the standard 3-prong 120-volt wall outlet, we're going to be charging this Ioniq 5 at level 1. This is the simplest, the easiest way to put electricity in your car, but it's also going to be shockingly slow, as we're about to find out. So just like your Xbox, plug it into a grounded outlet. That's going to spring to life, and then let's go over to the car and plug it in. Now, this is a very low stress, low strain way to put juice into your EV, right? You're not really putting that much load on your home. You're not putting that much electricity into the car at one time. And when we plug it in, it's going to start charging. And let's hop on over to the driver's side here and see how quickly this is going to charge. Yep, thank you. See how quickly this is going to charge up this Ioniq. Now, if we close the door, a couple of information we see here. First of all, currently we're sitting at 71% state of charge, and the car is saying to get to 100%, it would take 23 hours and 50 minutes. I wasn't kidding when I said slow. And you can see there, that little number right there, 1.3 kilowatts. And that is basically the rate at which electricity is entering the vehicle. The higher that number, the faster your car is going to charge. Now, how fast would it be to charge this car from 0 to 100% using this level 1 charger? Well, let's just do a little bit of math and figure that out really easily. So, this car has what they call a 72 kilowatt hour battery. And kilowatt hours are kind of like gallons in your gas tank. So the higher the kilowatt hours, the further your car can go on a single charge, the bigger the battery basically, right? So 73 kilowatt hours, it's pretty beefy, although it's becoming more standard in the industry. Let me give you some context, like Tesla Model S will have a 100 kilowatt hour pack. The first gen Nissan Leaf had like a 24 kilowatt hour pack. So 72, 73 is pretty standard. So let's take that number. Let's take 72 kilowatt hours and divide it by the charging speed, which is, in this case, 1.3 kilowatts. And you'll find that using this system, it would take about 55 hours to fully charge this Ioniq 5 from empty to full. 55 hours. Now that is, of course, going to change and depend based on some variables, right? Like not all of the electricity coming out of the wall makes it into the battery pack because there are some losses, but we're just going to keep it nice and simple and say around 55 hours to fully charge this Ioniq from 0 to 100%. So it's doable. You're not putting a lot of strain on the house or on the car, but it's also very, very slow. So if we want to go faster, we're going to have to change something, right? We're going to have to come up with a solution to put more electricity into the car. So what we're going to do is unplug this level 1 charger and jump up to what they call level 2. So a level 2 is going to have the same end that plugs into the car, but it's going to have a different connector to the wall. And not all level 2s are built the same. Now, this video is brought to you by our friends over at Lectron EV Chargers, and they've given us a couple of different options to demonstrate the different charging speeds. So let's go ahead and pop open this front trunk and talk about this system. Now, of course, when you go into the world of aftermarket chargers, it can be very overwhelming because there's all sorts of different options. But this is a portable system. So it comes in this kind of handy little black box, and you can throw it in your trunk, have it with you in an emergency, open it up. It's pretty small and compact. Now, of course, level 2, we're going to jump from 120 volts to 240 volts, but what you need to know is that it's not the voltage alone which is going to increase your charging speed. It's actually the voltage times the amperage. That's where things get a little bit interesting. So to find the kilowatts, the rate at which your car will charge, you have to multiply volts times amps. And in this case, what we're going to do is multiply 240 volts times 32 amps, because this is a 32 amp charger. And that should stick us right around 7 kilowatts. So we've gone from 1.3 using that level 1 connector to right around 7 using this level 2 connector. It's nice and packaged here. This is brand squeaky spanking new. All right, looking good. So, obviously the cable's a little beefier because it's going to be delivering more electricity to the car. And then obviously you can't plug it into your standard 120 volt wall outlet. You're going to have to get one of these puppies installed in your house. Now this is what they call a NEMA 1450. And it's similar to what you'd find like your dryer plugged into your stove. It's actually a very standard household plug. Just as everyday, day-to-day use, we typically don't see these because it's going to be stuck behind our dryer or stuck behind like our stove. But you can get these installed in your garage. Now I've done this a number of times with different electricians, and just figure, depending on where your fuse panel is, it's going to be like $1,000. Every time I've done it, it's like $900 to $1,000, but it's well worth it, because wait till you see how much quicker we can charge this Ioniq 5. So that comes into life. You can see it's got a nice little screen here, so we can actually see some information that's going directly into the car. And what we're going to do is take this end, plug it in, and then see what the car has to say. Need the key again. Pop open that little port. There we go. Just like that, we'll come over to the car and see if we can beat, what was it, 23 hours on the first time? Thank you, sir. All right, so now you can see we're delivering 6.3 kilowatts. So we've really jumped up almost 6 times as quick. And it's going to be fully charged now in 4 hours versus 23 hours. So this is a much, much, much faster system. And I'd strongly recommend it if you are driving your car even regular distances every day, come home to charge. This is going to be a game changer on just how quickly you can charge up your EV. Now, this is a 32 amp unit, and we often call these chargers. That's not really what's happening. This isn't actually doing the charging to the car. EVs on AC charging have a built-in charger, which is actually delivering the power to the battery. This is more of like a way to get electricity to the car. Just a little bit of kind of minutia there. But this is a 32 amp unit, and check this out. It actually shows us the information. So basically 31 amps being delivered at 205 volts. And now you're thinking, well, wait, I thought you said 240 volts. Well, this is a business. We're here at our offices, and typically offices are at a lower voltage than what you'd find at home. So I think it's like 208 volts versus like 240, which you'd find at home. So you could go even a little bit quicker charging at home. So this is a 32 amp unit, but this isn't the end all be all of EV charging. We can actually step it up another notch altogether. So what I'm going to do is unplug the car, and let's go a little beefier. This is a great system if you want to have a backup in an emergency, right? You're on the road, throw this in your trunk, throw it in a little bag, and be able to charge up in a pinch. But if you're planning on doing a home installation where you have a space to maybe have a slightly bigger unit, this Lectron 48 amp unit is going to be a better system probably for day-to-day charging. So this is a very simple mount to the wall. You can see this is a very similar panel on how they work, but typically it's a couple of anchors, a couple of screws, and then you can mount it up like that. Pretty similar on this unit as well. And then this is now a 48 amp setup. So let's go ahead and plug it in. Once again, things have gotten beefier, right? Thicker wires. We're still going to be using the same outlet. This is still a level 2 system, but when we flick it on, you're going to see rated amperage 48 amps. So big, big, big improvement. Now let's do a little bit of math. if we take 240 volts times 48 amps, all of a sudden 11 kilowatts or 11,520 watts. So much, much quicker, twice as quick almost as what we were looking at earlier. So let's go ahead and plug it in and see what that means in terms of charging times. All right. All right. Got some clicks going on there.
Charging started.
Charging started. And you can see, well, because we are at the office, we're not getting a full 240 volt, but we are still getting 9 kilowatts, which is way quicker than before, which we were at 6. And now it's saying 2 hours and 50 minutes to get to full. Now, when you're dealing with these big, chunky 48 amp chargers, right, a lot of the times, especially if you're looking at an older EV, they can actually have the potential to deliver more energy to the car than the car can accept. So like Nathan's Leaf, he has a first gen Leaf, I think that only had like a 6 kilowatt onboard charger. So jumping up to 48 amps doesn't make a huge difference because it can only take 6 in at the most. But let's do a little bit of math and figure out how long it would take to fully charge this Ioniq using this system. So if we look at the 32 amp unit, right? We were charging at 6.3 kilowatts, so 72 divided by 6.3. 72 divided by 6.3. So it would have taken about 11 hours to fully charge on that 32 amp unit. But let's do 72 divided by, what's the number? 9. 8 hours. So you could have this car completely dead to completely full in 8 hours. So 55 hours using level 1, 11 hours using 32 amps, and then 8 hours using the full 48 amp system. And those numbers would be even quicker, right, if we had 240 volts at home versus 208 volts at the office. All right, so is it worth it? Well, in my opinion, it absolutely is. This is a great example of kind of the different speeds in charging. So a level 120 volt system, it will work. It will put energy in your car. It'll just take a long time. A 32 amp level 2 system, it will work much better. It's going to be like 6 times as fast. It'll deliver energy to your car much quicker. But especially if you have a large battery like this Ioniq 5, jumping up to a 48 amp wall box like this is going to be a big, big, big jump. And you can see we have some information. So it's delivering 45.3 amps at 201 volts. It's already delivered 0.32 of a kilowatt hour. It's even the time it's been plugged in. Now, if you want to know more about the pricing on these, check them out. Look them up, Lectron. You'll see the different cost basis for going from 32 amp to 48 amp. And then, of course, we haven't talked about level 3, which is going to be like a public DC fast charger. And that's how you can get like 0 to 80% or 10 to 80% of this Hyundai in 18 minutes. But that's a topic for another video. Overall, though, if you've got a big battery pack, you got a fast onboard charger, go for the 48 amps. It's probably going to be okay with most homes. Most homes now have a pretty high amperage rating, and it's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to charging up your EV. Well, thank you guys for watching. As always, this has been Tommy with TFL EV. We'll see you in the next video. Big thanks to Lectron for making this video happen.